don't come for peace, I come for the storm. Fanboys melt quick when the truth gets warm. Saw content's high, I'm collecting those tears. Just got started, but I'm cutting through fears. I'm not here for brand deals, I'm not for sale. I expose your lies, rip off the veil.
Oh boy, Primey is at it again. He still thinks that Mario Kart World is a AAA game, and I have to continue to break it to him that it is not. And also, he said something very wrong and vile that I ended up having to ground him from using his Switch 2 for a week. You must watch the full video to find out. Well, let's get into this reaction.
I was actually going to mention price because, you know, like the game looks amazing, but, you know, Mario Kart World is $80.
Which is an abomination. No game should ever be at $80.
You know, and that game kind of got flack for being 80.
And it was well deserved. Honestly, it never got enough flack for it.
Why is this game 70? I'm not complaining. Listen, I love...
Oh, yes, you are. And in my opinion, I think this game should more likely be at 60, but only time's going to tell. I will have to see how long it's going to be, but with it not having full voice dialogue, that is going to lower a point for me.
You know, I'll take whatever, but why?
Because they're going to add more to Mario Kart.
Stash A, come on, you know better. You don't say such vile things. Don't make excuses for an $80 game. I will take away your reviewing privileges, but I will sit there and say that Fast Fusion, that was a good review. Good job.
And
it's a budget title. It's not worth...
Budget title, my ass. That game they put at $70. That is a very premium title.
I mean, 70 is still premium.
I don't...
Yes, $70 is very premium. If that was Stashy, if you said that, good job. Okay, I give you back your reviewing privileges now. But when it comes to that welcome to a review, I'm sorry, I disagree with you.
Is it to make the Mario Kart bundle look better?
Absolutely not. Nothing can make that Mario Kart world look better.
No. Well, I know Mario Kart, I don't know if this has anything to do with it, and Nate, I'll let you chime in a second, but I do know that like it came out that we had multiple studios.
I understand, Birdie, that you're wanting to sit here and try to make sense of why this game is $80, but trust me, there is nobody that can ever make sense why this game should be $80.
Dipping their hands into Mario Kart World. Obviously, Monolith was one of them. I don't know how much that plays a role in development costs, but obviously they had a team of 300, multiple teams.
You know, Last of Us Part 2, they had way more people working on that game than this game.
I don't remember. Do you guys remember all the teams? I just remember Monolith, but there was like 2 or 3 other teams that helped out with this game.
Still don't mean, if you're talking about Mario Kart World, it still doesn't mean that game should be $80. That is still a ridiculous price. And if it took that many people, when you look at Expedition 33, what they were able to do on such few people and few resources, and they made a game of that quality, it sounds like Nintendo did not budget properly.
Bandai Namco was one of them. Monolith, Bandai Namco, and 2 more with a huge staff.
I honestly
don't know how much that plays into it, but
I don't think it's that deep. They know that they could sell Mario Kart at $80.
That's the exact reason. They could have raised that game up to $100 and people still would have bought it. That's how greedy Nintendo is.
They don't think they could sell Donkey Kong at $80. I mean,
that's possible.
Well, I hate that logic. I mean, you're right, but I just hate Nintendo.
So look. So for starters, you know, with Mario Kart, look, what we learned now that credits are out, obviously, I'm sure most of us seen credits at this point in the game. We only had to beat Grand Prix for that.
Those credits mean absolutely nothing. That game should never be at $80. No game should ever be at $80. But I am interested, Primey. Tell me why this game is worth $80, please.
It's the biggest Mario Kart team ever by a lot.
And still doesn't mean it should be worth $80. If it took that many people to make a game like that, then that was Nintendo's problem for not budgeting correctly.
It's huge. It's a AAA level team.
Too bad they didn't make a AAA level game.
For people who think, no, it's a AAA level team.
Okay, congratulations. A AAA level team did not make a AAA game.
300 devs just internally at Nintendo without the partner companies.
And that does not mean anything. Just because you sat there and threw all that money into it, look at Concord. Look at how much money they threw into Concord. We all will sit there and say that was no AAA game.
Without the partner companies. That's more than double the staff they had for Mario Kart 8. It's a AAA level game.
No, it's not.
In terms of their development teams and probably the budget they put into it.
Which you yourself don't even know what the exact budget is.
But being a AAA game, I think this looks like a AAA game as well.
Donkey Kong Bonanza does, but Mario Kart World does not. That's why so many people are trying to say that the Switch 2 is nothing more than a Switch Pro. That's why it should have launched with Donkey Kong Bonanza.
I don't know how big the team is, but the quality of the game is up there with AAA for sure.
Donkey Kong Bonanza, maybe. We'll have to wait till the game comes out to find out, but Mario Kart World is not.
So it's interesting because I do think that John Nebo's right. They're charging $80 for Mario Kart because they can.
Which is ridiculous and should never have been at $80. Please someone tell me on this panel that they're going to sit there and say Mario Kart World should have never been $80.
That's the bottom line. It is the single most popular Nintendo franchise.
And doesn't mean it should be worth $80.
Period. Pokemon, take a fucking seat. You don't have a 70 million plus selling game.
Pokemon is still better. You will put some respect on Pokemon's name.
Mario Kart does. It's the single most popular game they have.
Okay, and it could have sold double than what it did. I still don't think Nintendo should have sat there and charged people $80 for this game. We should have stood up there, put Nintendo in their place, and say, you will knock this shit off.
So they're taking advantage of that and selling it for $80. I don't think it has to be that more complicated than that. I know we keep looking for all these justifications, and I've seen a lot of people talk about, look after this direct.
Nobody will ever find a good reason why Mario Kart World should have been $80 because everybody knows it should not have been set at $80. Nintendo themselves know that.
This looks like a way more premium experience.
Oh, that is very true, but not at an $80 premium.
And people would, if this was the $80 game, people might not have been as upset because look, they're doing shit they've never done with Donkey Kong.
Primey, don't you say such things. That is the wrong thing to say. No game should ever be at $80. People would have been plenty upset with it.
This looks inventive. This looks creative. This looks next level. Some people even are saying, man, it kind of already looks like it's better than Mario Odyssey.
Oh, it does. I played Mario Odyssey and I did like it, but this game looks way better than Mario Odyssey. Now, I was not super excited for the game at first. I'm like, yeah, it looks interesting, but I did watch the direct and I will sit there and say, this game, I think it could be up there as one of the contenders for Game of the Year. I think it could be nominated. I still think Expedition 33 is going to win it, but I would actually have to sit down and play this game to know if it should be in there or if it should win it.
And that was a 97. So it's like, damn, if that's the level you're putting this on, you could be like, shit, maybe that is an $80 experience.
Primey, I swear, if you continue to say such vile things, I will ground you for a week from your Nintendo Switch 2. Do not make me.
But they're doing 70. And the big reason is because...
Yeah, and I am not going to sit here and thank Nintendo for not charging $80 for this game. I honestly think all games should go back down to $60 or $50. I think they can make their money back and make plenty of profit at $60 or $50.
If you look at Donkey Kong sales, it hasn't really done well outside of Country Returns.
And I don't understand how well that game did. Yeah, it's a very fun game, but for a old report that had cut content from it, it literally was sold at $60. That was an overpriced report of a game from over 20 plus years ago. Never mind, I take it back. It did not have cut content from it unless you want to include the credits part. There was cut stuff from the credits. But other than that, no, it is still not worth $60 for a report of that game. That was an abomination also.
And then the original Donkey Kong Country. And it's never sold 10 million. It had the Zelda issue. They can never get it to past that 10 million mark.
Well, if I'm being honest, in my personal opinion, I think 3D games, like 3D platformers, just tend to do better than the 2D side-scrolling platform type games. Now, it's just my personal opinion. But you know what? The proof is kind of in the pudding. It does sit there and show that people do enjoy those games over the 2D platformers.
Closest they came was the OG DK Country. All the sales went down from there. The original Donkey Kong Country. Then Country Returns brought the sales back up above 5, but it still was like, okay, but they can't quite get this game to do that much better, or the franchise to do much better than Kirby.
Well, unfortunately, after Donkey Kong Country 3, there really weren't that many good ones. Donkey Kong 64 was terrible. Tropical Freeze I actually did enjoy. I don't know why that game got so much hate.
But this looks like a game they put the same care, effort, and development time into as a 3D Mario. This is what we expect.
Very true, and it's about damn time Nintendo did it.
Talking about like DK is not going to sell at $80. I think,
and nor should it.
We all agree DK has not gotten big enough. It hasn't landed enough into the mainstream to be this mega seller.
And nor will it ever will. No game should ever be sold at $80. Now at $70, I'm very critical of $70 games. And to me, so far, I don't think it really meets that $70 because it doesn't have that full dialogue voice acting. Now, if I end up playing this and the combat's amazing and the story is amazing, top notch, everything, I may look past the full dialogue voice acting. But another thing is how many hours are you going to get into this game? For me to ever, offer a $70 game for someone to buy, I have to get at least 20 hours of quality gameplay out of it.
The question for you guys is, does this change that? Does this take DK to the next level as far as sales go?
Now, if you're talking about is it going to sell well at 80 or should it go up to 80? No, I do not think. No game should be at 80. At 70, I think it may sell well, but the thing is, I think if this game was put at 60, I think it would sell amazingly well. I think the $60 price point is perfect for most games.
Because I think what Nintendo delivered today is an extremely impressive, like Nate said, one of, if not the best, single game focused directs.
I completely agree with you, Birdie. That direct did get me excited for this game, and I haven't gotten excited for a Nintendo game in a long time.
And I think there's something here for a very wide audience of gamers.
Well, that's all going to depend on the price point. Unfortunately, when you start getting into the $70 territory, a lot of people are not as likely to pay for a game at that price.
Is this going to break the mold? Is this going to take DK to a broader audience and level it up in the sales department?
I think it can, but I hope that it doesn't mean Nintendo's going to raise this up to $80.
Like I talked about this during this direct, that I don't know what it is, but ever since Switch came out, we could talk about the anti-consumer practices and the prices, and I don't really give a shit because Nintendo's made some of the best fucking video games in my entire life over the last 9 years.
Primey, please tell me I did not just hear that correctly. Please tell me. You know what? We need to listen to that again. Rewind.
Like I talked about this during this direct, that I don't know what it is, but ever since Switch came out, we could talk about the anti-consumer practices and the prices, and I don't really give a shit because Nintendo's made some of the best fucking video games in my entire life over the last 9 years.
Primey, how dare you say such evil, vile things? You are grounded. You are not allowed to play your Switch 2 for a week. You keep pushing it, I will move that to 2 weeks.
Absolutely. And what I think is really cool is this whole collaborating, bringing dev teams in to...
Birdie, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you're going to agree that they made some of the best games, and you are not agreeing with the anti-consumer practice part. But are we seriously going to gloss over that Primey just sat there and pretty much said, oh, it's okay to have the anti-consumer practices as long as the games are good? No, we can have both, Primey. You know this. Let the inner Prime out. Well, that's going to be it for my reaction. Let me know down in the comments if you agree with me or not. Please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, stay vigilant.
You can cry in the comments, but you won't survive. Like and subscribe if you feel that vibe. We're hot and salty too.